You'll often hear people who have recovered from alcohol who will tell you they can't get off cigarettes. You'll have people who recovered from both who will tell you, oh, cigarettes were the hardest thing they ever came off of. You'll hear the scientific community telling you that, oh, quitting smoking is harder than quitting almost any other drug, very unsuccessful. You hear this from really credible resources. And in some ways, I think the people who are the most credible are the ones who are recovering from multiple addictions who will say it. And you have to start to believe, like, man, quitting smoking is close to impossible. I mean, look at the sources that are saying it. Now, I want to point something out. It's not true in the vast majority of cases that quitting smoking is harder than giving up these other drugs. These people are not lying to you. They're telling you what they believe to be true and what their memory is and what their observations are, but it's not an accurate statement. You have to understand there are certain things that made it easier for these people to quit the other drug than it was for them to quit smoking. One was the order. They quit the other drug first. And many times the way they quit the other drug was they used smoking as a substitute. I've known people who went into AA, never smoked a day in their life, who, while they were in treatment to get off alcohol, they took up smoking. And how I happen to know them is I met them in stop smoking clinics when they were trying to get off smoking, sometimes just a year of the time that they first took their first cigarette, but they were so hooked and so dependent in such a short time period because they use cigarettes as a crutch off the other drug. So now when you're trying to get them off their cigarettes, you're not just trying to get them off of a primary addiction of its own, but you're trying to get them off the crutch from the other drug. Well, that's the same thing that happened to all those other people who were co-smoking and co-drinking or co-using of other substances. They often give up everything else first. They increase cigarette consumption during the quitting process, and now you're trying to get them off the crutch that help them, as far as they're concerned, get off the other drug. That makes it psychologically more difficult. But there's another variable that's making it more difficult. They don't understand what they need to do to get off cigarettes or stay off cigarettes the way they know about their other drug. And this also goes for their doctors, and this also goes for all the scientists who are guiding them and making material for them. They don't understand what the people need to do. And without that understanding, it's very hard for people to first get off smoking and probably more significantly to stay off smoking because they don't get the education and understanding that they do for the other substance. And also from the feedback they get from everybody around them, their family and their friends. Oh man, if you get a person who's recovering successfully from a narcotic drug, from alcohol, from crack, you have everybody just kind of rooting for them, telling them, hang in there. They understand you can't have any, don't take any. Oh man, if you take a drink, you're going back to using. They get this from the professional literature. They get this from people they know around them. They get this from their support group that they're going to for the treatment. But for smoking, these same people can say to them when they say they've been off smoking, like, oh, you mean you haven't even had one? Really? You haven't had one? That message that they're getting from all these resources makes it much more difficult for a person to really internalize themselves what they need to do to sustain their quits. They understand it for the other drug, but they don't get the message for smoking. If people understood and treated smoking with the same serious nature that they're attacking the other substance, they're going to do very well with getting off smoking. And they're probably not going to have as hard of a time because they're not going to carry on the internal debate of how much they want one, but they can't have it. See, with the other drug, they know. Yeah, they want it. They want it. But they know if they take it, they're going back to full usage. They know their life is going to go into shambles because of it. They know what the problem is and what they need to do. With smoking, they don't get that message. And again, it creates the internal debate of how much they want one, how much they can't have it. One sounds great. No, it doesn't. Oh, just one, not just one. It's a debate that can drive a person nuts if they don't change the internal discussion. It's not that they don't want one. They don't want the others that go with it. They don't want the problems that go with the others. When you look at it like that, you can walk away like, I'm glad I don't do it anymore. If you don't look at it like that, you're going to walk away deprived, like, oh darn, I couldn't have another one. I'm going to attach a lot of videos and articles into the description associated to this page, because I really do have this covered. It's covered in numerous videos, some dealing very specifically with people in recovery from other addictions, but most of them are really just applicable to anybody, no matter prior dependency or not. Because whether they had a prior dependency to another drug, they have a dependency to nicotine. They have a drug addiction. If they understand drug addiction, if they understand what they need to do to break free from that addiction, they can do it. And it's not going to be this impossible venture that they've been perceiving for so long because of the messages they're getting. Anyone can quit. Don't care how long they smoke, don't care how much they smoke, anyone can quit. And they can stay off. But they need to understand one simple premise, and that is, if you want to quit smoking and you want to stay free for the duration, it's a matter of making and sticking to a personal commitment to never take another puff